Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Nordcast. It is Monday, April 7th, 2025. It is a historical episode of the MVP. I am your host, Nord97, joined by my other host, LeBlanc James. LeBlanc, how we doing?
Grateful. Very grateful.
Yeah, this is a very, very special episode because we had a record break that for many years was looked at as unbreakable. Alex Ovechkin has passed Wayne Gretzky for the all-time lead in NHL goals. The goal record is now held by the Great Eight, who is the greatest eight and is the greatest goal scorer of our generation and the greatest goal scorer ever. So, just a phenomenal accomplishment. Following this throughout the entire year is awesome. And LeBlanc, for you, because you're older than me, you've been able to witness Ovechkin's entire career.
Yep.
What's it been like following this the entire way through?
So it's crazy to think that, back in 2004, I was only like 6 years old, but I remember the early Ovechkin career. But it's crazy to think that that kid from Russia is now the all-time leading goal scorer. After it happened, I saw the ceremony, and I turned off the game when I came back on. I just sat down on my couch and wow. I took in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have this record. Like he said, Alex Ovechkin himself said in an interview in 2016, he's like, "There's no way I'm breaking that. It's impossible."
And here we are, 10 years later. He shatters it. It's just it's so cool, and our generation is so blessed to witness it because again we witnessed, or the generation before us witnessed witnessed Gretzky breaking Howe's record, and our generation before that witnessed Howe breaking Richard's record, and our generation has witnessed Ovechkin break what was looked at as an unbreakable record for such a long time, and now it's broken, and we've been following it all year, but just the overall longevity of Ovechkin has been absolutely phenomenal throughout his entire career.
And looking back to last September, when we saw Ovechkin's season last year, you saw him slowing. He had a down year last year. And
yeah,
I think I said on the pod that I think the record we broken not this year but the following year.
Yeah, I think we both kind of thought that. And again, as you said, last September, Ovechkin was coming off of a down year. We're I don't know, 42 goals. It's not impossible, but it's rather unlikely. And then he got it done, and it's so cool and just so phenomenal that we were able to see this happen, and I still kind of just can't believe it. I'm still kind of just taking it in. And again, this was a year where, again, he had a down year last year, and in this year, he comes into the point where, he dominates the first half of the year. He breaks his leg. He's out for, 3-4 weeks, comes back, sooner than expected, by the way. We thought he was going to be back by the new year, but he was back, I think, before Christmas.
Yeah, he was.
And he came back. He was a little bit slow to get there, but as we headed into, mid-February, late February into March, he took it up to a whole nother level and was scoring at an unbelievable rate. And I just still can't believe, the longevity with him is unreal in terms of a goal scorer. Because, again, you usually see guys kind of slow down at this point, but Ovechkin's 39, will be 40 in a couple of months, and is third in goals in the NHL and has the all-time record, which is just unreal. And I want to throw this in here, too. I want to give credit to Crosby as well, because he hit a record that I think is not just as crazy, but it still is pretty crazy. He has had 20 point-per-game seasons throughout his entire career, which, again, that also shows the longevity with him is just unmatched. It's just unreal.
Yeah, you look at those two. When I was growing up, it was Crosby versus Ovechkin for multiple years. Because they played in the same division for multiple years. Still do.
Yeah.
And it always met each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, just kind of wild. All right, I got some questions here for you to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit with some Ovechkin talk. The first one is, and this is a big one to start off, what is your favorite goal that you've ever watched from Ovechkin?
Ooh. So when...
Not the best goal he's ever scored, but your favorite goal that he scored.
So I have two here.
Okay.
One of them was I was watching. It's one of those highlights where he scored a hattie. I'm pretty sure, and after he scores the hat trick goal, he goes up to the stick and he's like doing this, but the stick's too hot.
Yeah.
That's how it always stays in my mind. Then when I was a kid, I went to a game in 2007. It was Ottawa against Washington. Washington won the game 8-6. Ovechkin had 4 goals.
Good Lord.
And every time Ovechkin came to Ottawa, I swear he had a hat trick. Like almost every game he plays against us, not recently, but like when he hit his prime, I swear every time he was at least 2 goals per game.
I mean, didn't he score an overtime winner against you guys earlier in the year?
He did. Yeah, it was just...
Yeah, so again, just Ottawa's one of those teams. For me, it has to be one of his goals in the playoffs. Definitely one in the I think it was Game 5 of the 2018 final. Just it's a core hockey memory for me because that was my first year where I was like into hockey, and just seeing how Ovechkin went on that run and he ended up winning it. It was just so phenomenal, and one of the best things that I've ever been able to witness. What do you think is the best goal that he scored? And I think we'll both have the same answer, but
I want you to go first because I think we might have the same answer.
I'm going with the goal he had in Arizona against Brian Boucher, where he falls on the ground, flips the stick around him, and puts the puck in. Just almost nothing can beat that, honestly.
That's up there. That's out there. There was a game where he had a goal where it's on like the line, the goal line, and he's like right there. He's standing there. He flicks it in, and it goes top corner into the net. I think it was against Dallas.
Just the shots, like his shot is the best the league has ever seen. There is no doubt. I mean, we could bring up the one-timers all we want. We know that he can score like that, but just the way he has a shot, and especially you look at early on in his career, the skill he had was insane. At least now he still can move out there, he still can make plays and move the puck, but nowhere to the extent that he was doing that earlier on in the year. Now, I've been asking this question for the last couple of days. Where do you think Ovechkin ranks all time?
If we're talking all players, I want to say he's at least top 7 to 5 in my book.
Okay. I think he should be top 5, but I'm a 4 to 5. Okay. Honestly.
It depends on what you value as for your hockey sense. I know for me, goal scoring is a big one, but I also say being consistent and being defensively consistent as well. That's why I have Bobby Orr's in my top 3.
Yeah, I mean again, he did just beat out his record, but Gretzky is still 1 for me, in my opinion. 2 probably would go with Bobby Orr's on that list. Probably forgetting somebody that's big right now. Yeah, Gordie Howe would be up there too. Mario Lemieux. It's all opinion based. Again, I think even a year or two ago, a lot of people had Ovechkin outside the top 10 and in the top 15. But to be honest, I overall I just think that for him, he's around that 4 to 5 range, maybe just outside the top 10. But anybody who says he's not a top 10 NHLer ever, I don't know how you can make that argument. It's just recency bias. He's not just somebody who takes one-timers all the time. I get it. That's what he does in the power play. But if you actually watch the games, he still moves around pretty good and still has that energy. And you look at even earlier on in his career, he was still just a talented player.
I'm gonna ask you this though.
Oh God.
Ovechkin or Crosby?
All right.
That's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a pretty hard question. For years, I said Crosby. for years, just because of the consistencies on both ends of the ice, offensively and defensively, and the way he could score and make passes. I just think he is one of the most consistent players of all time, and there's no doubt he has more points than Ovechkin in less games. I mean, with the goal record, you could easily say Ovechkin. I still think I lean Crosby just because of his longevity and the way that he's played. But what do you think?
I think it's Crosby. I think Crosby, like Ovechkin has all the Rocket trophies, but Crosby has the accolades that Ovechkin. Crosby's got the Conn Smythes, Crosby's got the Cups, Crosby's got the consistency, the longevity. I think Crosby, like Ovechkin and Crosby both made players around them a lot better, but I think Crosby did it with, like Ovechkin had Backstrom for so many years. Crosby had so many different line mates with him.
Crosby had a way worser team for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I get Pittsburgh won 3 cups under him, but it's a pretty bad team.
When you look back at that 06 Penguins team, it's brutal.
You look at even this year's Penguins team. This Penguins team right now is pretty brutal. Mm-hmm. And he's still performing at this level. But that's not to take away from anything Ovechkin's done. But still a phenomenal player.
I mean, in my eyes, if we're going to like what my top 10 is, I think I have Crosby over Ovechkin. It's close though. Like I'm not saying he clears. Like it's very close.
Yeah, it's like a coin flip. I think you could have it either way, and I really wouldn't be angry. But my preference, even as a Flyers fan, is just Crosby. Yeah. So,
I also have a trivia question for you now.
Oh, God, here we go.
There is one type of goal Ovechkin has never scored in his career.
What penalty shot goal?
No.
Oh, he scored on a penalty shot before?
I don't know. I can't confirm that, but that's not what I was thinking of.
Shorthanded on an empty net?
I can't confirm nor deny that, but that's not what I was thinking. I'll give you a hint. It has to do with what time of year you're playing in.
What time of year you're playing in? Has he scored a playoff overtime goal before?
He's not.
Really? That's kind of weird.
I know, because I was doing a quiz earlier, and I fact-checked it before I got on here, about playoff overtime goals since 06. I put in Ovechkin's name, nada.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. When you really do think about it. That's surprising. Wow. All right. Yeah, anything more on Ovechkin?
Grade 8.
Grade 8. Yeah, I lied to you. We actually do have some stuff we got to talk about. So we're going to talk about some teams here that have clinched and missed the playoffs. Let's start off with the Vegas Golden Knights, who have qualified in. Vegas qualifies for the 3rd straight season. I think they've actually had a pretty decent year so far this year, and I think a lot of people do underrate them. So what are your overall thoughts on
Vegas? I think Vegas doesn't get the benefit of the doubt that Vegas is a very good team. People just really do not like Vegas. Even with trading Logan Thompson, they had a very good year. They've been mostly healthy. Mark Stone's been majorly healthy this year, so that really does help. They didn't run away with the Pacific. They're still up for grabs. LA is still kicking at their heels.
LA is right behind them. I think people kind of forget about that. Mm-hmm. LA is right there.
And it's a good team. It's a really good team, and a team that, first of all, when Vegas first came into the league, I was a big time hater. But
well, when Vegas first came in, it was a great story.
And then it got annoying.
Then they started winning, and they never got bad, and we were like, oh, come on. And then they won the cup, and we're like, oh, damn it. So, yeah, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, Vegas is not a well-liked team around at least around my hockey circle.
Oh, definitely.
But
they're still a very good team, though.
They got good vets, very good talented pieces.
They still have the pieces to win.
They do.
I still believe that. And Jack Eichels had a huge season this year.
They have a good shot to come out of the West.
They do. Especially the Pacific. I'm not LA is LA. They'll play Edmonton in the first round. You'll see how that goes. Vegas is likely going to play St. Louis. there's a chance of an upset there, but I think they
St.
probably
Louis and
take.
Minnesota, St. Louis is a whole different ball game, though. What are they on? What is it, 12 games now?
Yeah, 12-game heater. So I mean, again, to be honest, I think that they have a very good chance at coming out of the Pacific Division, making the third round at least. Just past that, we'll see, because they'll play one of Colorado, Dallas, or Winnipeg, and I don't know.
But they got a good team. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't bet against them.
No, I'm not betting against them either. Next up is the Carolina Hurricanes, who also clinched. They have clinched for I think the 8th straight year. It's kind of crazy to think that they have been in the playoffs for that long.
Yeah, because they had a 10.
A while ago, they were out for a decade.
It's funny because they had a 10-year playoff streak. Yeah, they had a big drought, and now they're on 8 years, which is impressive to say the least. What a season for the Carolina Hurricanes, though. You started the year where you had expectations. You lost a lot of guys in the offseason, and we said it'd be maybe a different kind of year. Then they go out and trade for Rantanen.
The whole narrative changed.
And the whole narrative changed, and then 2 weeks later, or 4 weeks later, Rantanen gets traded again. So essentially, I think Carolina may have done some self-inflicted damage there to their team, but it seems to not have bothered them. It seems that they're still been pretty good this year. 96 points. They're not going to catch Washington for the number 1 seed in the Metro. They seem to be locked into that number 2 spot. They'll be home advantage for some playoff games. Their home record's very impressive, 38-1. I'm very impressed with the way all the distractions this year for Carolina, and they overcame it, and they still made the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. I think they botched the situation with Rantanen. Not the trades or anything like that, but they did botch the situation. You could have at least had some more clarity of whether or not he was going to stay with Carolina, and instead of just trading for him right away. I do think, though, the return they got was great. The first-round picks, I don't think they'll stay in Carolina for very long, and they got Logan Stankoven, who looks pretty damn good. But, again, for me, and I talked about this earlier in the day, the Eastern Conference just feels so wide open to me this year. Because you see, I'm going to go through all the teams, okay? I'm going to go through all the teams here. So you got Washington, who's having a really good season. Some would call it a fluke. I would not be shocked, and I'm not saying it will happen, but I would not be shocked if they do get upset in the first round. I would not be shocked at all. Now, I'm not saying that they won't, or I'm not saying that they will, but I wouldn't be shocked. You got Carolina, who's still a very good team, went through some stuff this year. You got the Devils, missing Jack Hughes and missing Dougie Hamilton. I think some people are writing them off in that way. You look at the Atlantic, you got Toronto, who's Toronto, let's be for real here. You have Florida, who's missing some players, which they should be back, but even still, you're a little bit concerned. You got Tampa Bay, who Tampa looks good. Tampa's a team that I think could go far. You look at the wild cards, you got Ottawa, who's been on a great run. They might even finish in the divisional spot. And then you got Montreal. If they end up being that last spot, nobody thought they would be here, and they're here. The Eastern Conference just feels so wide open to me. I feel like there's at least 3 or 4 teams that could go on a run. There's 3 or 4 teams that won't. And my 2 favorites right now, if I'm being completely blunt with you, are Carolina and Tampa. I don't think Washington's played that well these past couple of weeks. The Devils just aren't that great without these top players. Toronto's Toronto, and Florida's missing their guys.
If Florida was healthy, we could have a different conversation here. But
yes, 100%.
I really like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay looks, if they can get Vasi to lock into that playoff form he had a couple years ago in the bubble, then we're cooking with something.
Yeah, totally. So, I think the East is wide open for Carolina to get in there this year. And speaking of Tampa Bay, let's just go into Tampa Bay right away. They also clinched the playoff spot for, I think, the 8th straight year as well. So, they've been on a pretty good run as well recently. And again, Tampa's the other team for me that I think can go on a real run. I think the ads of Gordon Bjorkstrand have been huge. I think that helps their depth a lot more come playoff time. I think the issues with because I think people kind of forget that last year Vasilevsky missed like the beginning of the season, and it kind of took him a little bit to get back into the regular form. This year, with a full year, he looks like the regular Vasilevsky we all know and love. I think Tampa really can go on a run. And like, to be honest, we didn't really think that. They lost Stamkos, they lost all these guys. Like, we thought they'd be good, but we didn't think they'd be like as good as they were.
Some people,
and all of a sudden, they might be the favorites.
Yeah, some people wrote off Tampa this year. They said Tampa's not going to be good. I don't think we were one of those people, but
no, we weren't. I mean, we did say, like, we were on that boat where we were like, yeah, they might not be as good, but they're still going to be a good team. Yeah. They're still making playoffs.
Tampa's been playing really well lately. Like, they're 6-3-1 in their past 10 games. Really good home record of 27, 8-1. And I got a hot take here.
Uh-oh, here
Florida,
we go.
I know they're injured right now. Florida is tanking, so they don't have to play them.
That might be it. That might be it. I can't lie to you.
Would you rather play Tampa or Toronto first round?
Yeah, I would rather play Toronto, probably. I mean, not just like to hate on Toronto, but because Toronto has that.
It's the history. It's like the history, and you know, Tampa's won cups with this core. Toronto's been to the second round.
Yeah, I am scared to hell about Tampa right now. Honestly, if I'm any other team in the Eastern Conference. And I know I might have disrespected Washington a little bit. I think Washington is still going on a run. But for me, again, like, my favorites are Carolina and Tampa Bay. Next up then, we'll actually go into Florida now, since Florida's right there. They also clinched a playoff spot for the, I think, like, 5th straight year. Again, like, they're like Florida, or they're like Carolina in a sense, where they missed the playoffs for, like, 15 years, Florida like 15 years.
Florida was, when I was growing up, Florida was bad. They were like, it was mediocrity. It was like mediocrity. They were consistently bad, and they would have that one off year where they were good, and then they go back to being bad again.
Yeah, like 2016 was that year where they actually made the playoffs, and then nope. So yeah, I mean, like, for Florida, they could still win if they bring back their entire core in the playoffs. I think you got to pencil them in. But here's my thing, though. If they don't have all those guys back in there and they're back at playing that level, I look at Vegas last year. Vegas went through the injuries last season. They go out, they make the big splash, they bring in Tomas Hertl, and everybody picks them as like the favorite to win over Dallas, even though Dallas was like higher in the rankings than they were. Like, I think Vegas was the second wild card, and they go in there, they lose in 7. I have a weird feeling that Florida might be that this year's Vegas. And I get it, because they went through a ton of injuries in the playoffs. You go on a run, you're going to get injuries.
But when we get to playoffs, you know who's going to come back, even if they're not 100%? Matthew Tkachuk.
Probably basically everybody. So I agree with that, but everybody came back with Vegas, and they still lost. Just like, I don't know, like, I have that weird feeling that is going to happen. Do you have that feeling with Florida, or is it just me?
Florida's weird for me because, like you said, that could happen, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. But I'm here to say, all the guys they have on the IR right now, when they come back, I think most of them are going to be good for the playoffs. Actually,
true.
So if they're playing Tampa, I don't think that's not a short series.
Oh, no doubt, that's going 7 all the way.
Yeah, and
no doubt in my mind.
Like, Bob hasn't been great lately, but Bobrovsky in the playoffs last year, he was one of the reasons they got there.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So,
and like, I think Florida can be a team that's out early. I also feel like Florida could be a team that we could talk about again in the Stanley Cup final.
Very true. I think it goes either way, in my opinion, to be honest with you.
When these are all finalized and we do our brackets, the East is, like we said, the East is so wide open. Like, I could do it over and over again and still be like, I don't feel right.
We might have completely different brackets.
Mm-hmm.
That might be how crazy it is. We might have completely polarizing brackets by the end of it. So we'll see. And then finally, again, a lot of Atlantic teams clinched. Toronto also clinched as well. Ironically enough, they are first in the division. They have clinched for the 9th straight year. The Maple Leafs been on a really good run. I mean, again, like, they're going to win the division for the first time in a very long time outside of the COVID year.
First time since 2000.
Yeah, very long time, like 25 years. So I think what Toronto's been doing is great, but there's always that mental factor. It's always going to be there with this core until they all get.
Here's the
get
thing.
there.
I know they got it over the hump a couple years ago, but it's still going to be there.
Oh, it's absolutely going to be there. You look at that series, LeBlanc. They probably shouldn't have won that. Like 4 of those 6 games went to overtime.
They won all the overtime games.
He was hurt.
Like if Tampa won at least one of those overtime games, we're talking about it. We might have a conversation right now.
Absolutely, we might be. So again, like they might not even have the core. It might be completely different. Those extra 5 games they played completely changed the narrative with this team. But I think the narrative should still be that this team can't get it done. And if they don't get it done, I think we're going to see some big changes. But we've been saying that the last, 10 years.
5 years.
I don't know.
I know. And, well, the thing about Toronto is if Toronto gets out of the first round, Toronto can be dangerous.
Oh, I agree. You get it. They get out of that hump. I think they can be.
I think I said this exactly 2 years ago when they beat Tampa in 6. Only for I think I said after that they're gonna go to the final. They're gonna go to the final, and then they proceeded to get smacked by Florida.
Yeah, they got smacked too. That series wasn't even close from the start, to be honest. But yeah, that whole mental factor is there with the Maple Leafs. I mean, there's a lot lying on the line. The Mitch Marner contract, everything like that. And I do feel like too, I am gonna give Toronto its flowers. I feel like we love to look at the negatives in Toronto. Like when they go on a losing streak, it's like the end of the world. I feel like we love to look at the overwhelming negatives on Toronto rather than the positives. I feel like that's a big thing with the Maple Leafs. But maybe every other team's like that, but I feel like with Toronto, everything that is bad is just highlighted
It's because it's amplified by the media. There's nothing positive coming out of Toronto from the media ever.
Yeah, no, it's always negativity, especially after they lose 2 or 3 in a row. It's like,
the sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Yeah, quite literally.
I want to. I'll be nice to Toronto. Craig Berube, give him his flowers. He's done a fantastic job for the Maple Leafs this year. Joseph Wall and Stolarz have been excellent between the pipes. I'm still concerned about Toronto's defense.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, they do have I think their top 4 is decent. Morgan Riley, I think, honestly might find himself out of Toronto at some point. I feel like Toronto media has given up on him. I like McCabe. I like Tanev. Who's that other guy that's on the blue line? McCabe, Tanev, Carlo.
Carlo, yes.
Carlo, not bad. I mean, you asked me if it's better than, let's say, Ottawa's that they're playing right now. That's actually a debate you can really have, to be honest with you.
The one thing I will say, though, and this has been the theme for the past 5 years, the core 4 needs to show up.
They don't score.
And that's that I will. Nylander's the only one who shows up. Marner, I think Marner has more delay of game penalties than playoff goals the past 3 years.
Well, we talk about scoring, overall scoring with these players. I need to look it up again. I'm pretty sure they haven't scored more than 2 goals, or maybe 3.
Yeah.
I don't think they've scored more than 2 or 3 goals in a playoff series since the Tampa series in 2023.
Yeah, and
I think it was game 4. That is, you can't win like that.
You can't win like that. Toronto, they have depth, but it's not fantastic.
How does a team with that much firepower? How are they able to get... I don't get it. How are they not able to get it done? Seriously.
And the one person I'm going to circle on, because I feel like, and they deserve my criticism, is Austin Matthews. Because, especially last season when, he almost had 70, and then he proceeded to have 1 goal he had 1 goal in 7 games in a playoff series.
I will say this, though. He was battling something, I think,
injured,
during that.
Even then, that's still not good enough.
Yeah, the whole rest of the team just did. I mean, again, the whole rest of the team, I don't think played good enough. And the moments where it mattered, they couldn't get it done.
This could be, if they play Ottawa in a playoff series, and Ottawa beats them, that could be last chance you. That could be last chance.
That is. I think you've even said this. That is the nail in the coffin
yeah.
for sure. He is done. He is done after that. I don't know how you can justify keeping him around.
Like if you lose
even if the
Florida,
guy's again oh, I just got here. Like
if you lose to Florida, it's like you can debate that. But if you,
it's one thing. If you lose to Tampa too, like it's one thing.
Yeah, no. But if you lose to the playoff rookies, Ottawa Senators, that's a problem.
What if here? I don't want to speak this into existence. It actually still can happen. What if Montreal catches Ottawa and they end up beating Toronto?
The deja vu would be crazy. I mean, Ottawa and Montreal are 5 points apart. They do play each other this week, so there's a chance that Montreal does catch Ottawa. I don't know. Like if you're Toronto and you between those two, I think you want Ottawa.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know. With Toronto, we'll have to see where it goes. We're gonna have this discussion throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah, and we all know Leafs fans are like clutching their breaths. They're like, dude, just please.
Yeah, they're pretty terrified. One final, two more teams. Two more teams that have clinched playoff spots. We're going to see the eliminated teams. Colorado has clinched. They have clinched for the, I think, 8th or 9th season in a row. Colorado's had a really good year. Again, like just the transition from a team that had a lot of problems to a team that kind of looks like, yeah, they could win. Like it's pretty surreal with the goaltending, the defense, and everything like that. Just wild.
And with Colorado, like they trade away Rantanen, which once again was a move that I didn't agree with. I didn't agree with that at all. But they bring in Natchez, they bring in Drury, a little bit rocky. They made some deadline moves with Rock and Nelson. And who else did they bring in? They brought in Lindgren and Coyle. And
they brought in Blackwood and Wedgwood too.
Yes.
Remember?
And honestly, good turnaround. Out of all, there's a lot of major shuffling of the deck, but it seems to have worked out for them. They were teetering on a wild card spot when they made the Rantanen trade too.
They were, yeah. So they were like right up in there, and ever since they got rid of him and they got Natchez and all that, they went on like a phenomenal run. So I think that's got to be shown there as well.
Yeah, and here's the thing: there's still a chance. Like if Colorado loses the rest of their games, lose the last 4 games, they could be in a wild card spot.
Yeah,
because St. Louis, we need to win the rest of their games, but
which I'm not saying that's not impossible to block because they've literally won 12 in a row. So like I don't know. Genuinely.
Colorado, if they play Dallas, that's going to be a fun series. That's going to be a really fun series. Because
they probably will. It is a shame. A damn shame.
That's the first round
that
series.
One of those two teams is going to get knocked out in the first round.
Because both of those teams, that's like a conference.
Win a cup.
That's a conference finals. Like, I'm going to be dead serious. And here's the thing, though. Dallas and Winnipeg are real close now. Dallas could win the division still.
And then it's Winnipeg versus Colorado
again. So,
oh man. All right. You know how I said the Eastern Conference is so wide open?
Yes.
The West is going to be a war.
The West is a bloodbath.
A war. Like, I don't care what you say. All of the divisional and wildcard matchups are going to be a complete war. Winnipeg has been phenomenal all year. They're starting to teeter off a little bit, which makes me worried, but they're still a very good team. Dallas acquires Rantanen midway through the year after a already pretty good season. They look like the honest favorites. Colorado is Colorado. They made some great moves. Keep in mind, all 3 of those teams are in the same division.
Not to mention, also in the division, it's the 2 wildcard teams.
Yep. So you got St. Louis, who has won 12 games in a row. Now, I don't think St. Louis is going to go super far. But again, if they're hot, who knows? And as well as that, too, I think they could upset Vegas. I think they could upset Winnipeg. The jury's out with both those teams. You got Minnesota. Minnesota, I'm not as lenient on. If Kaprizov does come back, then I think maybe.
I think if Kaprizov comes back, Minnesota's shelf life is longer, but it's not going to win them around.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Like, I mean, they had a really good first half, and then that kind of just teeter off with the injuries and stuff. Now, Going into the Pacific Division, the LA Kings clinched the playoff spot as well. They have been rolling. They have been absolutely hot. Their home record is phenomenal too, LeBlanc. I don't even know if you know that. And they'll have home ice over Edmonton.
Yeah, like 8-2 their last 10, 29-4-4 at home.
Fucking unreal. Only 8 home losses all year, and 4 of them in regulation. That is just phenomenal. Now,
one team I'm certain. The only team I'm not confident. Only 2 teams in this entire West I'm not confident in. Minnesota, and I'll be honest, Edmonton is so lucky they're in the Pacific. If they were in the Central, they're probably on the outside looking in.
If they were in the Central Division, they'd be where Minnesota is.
Yeah, so
2 points ahead.
Though, and Edmonton and Minnesota are the only 2 teams I don't have any confidence in going to these playoffs.
Yeah, honestly. So again, like we look at the Eastern Conference, it's so wide open. The West is a war. And I think, to be honest with you, like we're going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and whoever comes out of the West is going to play whoever comes out of the East.
The East is going to win.
To be honest, yeah.
West,
like
they're going to be so dead.
The West is going to be like dead tired. And the East is going to be like, yeah, we're okay. I mean, again, I'm not saying that the Eastern Conference is easy, but it really does feel like there are maybe 2 teams that can really go all the way.
A lot
the other
more heavy hitters in the West.
Yeah. The other, like, there's still teams that can make it in the East. I would say there's around 4, but like 2 of them, maybe 3, I'm confident on. The rest, like, kind of unproven. Like Toronto, Washington, unproven. The experience just isn't the experience in that isn't there. The like evidence doesn't back it up, especially with Washington. Like again, you go from last year barely making it to coming in. I don't know. Like I think the West is just way more. I think, to be honest with you, like 6 of the 8 teams in the West could win the Cup. Maybe 5. 5 of the 8 teams in the West could win the Cup.
That's not a bad take at all. Like, I'm not gonna shit on you for that, because that's actually a really good take. Because Dallas could win it. Colorado could beat Dallas and come out of the West. Vegas has
any team in the Central.
Even like, LA. Like LA is so slept on.
If they get like everybody's going to pick Edmonton over them. If they get hot, and they're hot right now.
If they
the second half of the season is all that matters.
Figure out Stuart Skinner, that series is done.
Edmonton has been slow, like generally the entire second half, basically, more or less. I get it. I know they've been solid recently, but they've still been a little bit slow, and it looks like LA is going to get that second spot.
Yeah, and LA never had home ice advantage.
They did not, so that might change the whole narrative. Who knows? We'll see. All right, moving out of teams that are in the playoffs, let's talk about teams that are not in the playoffs. There are 4 here that I do want to talk about. Starting off with the only Western Conference team, it's the Anaheim Ducks. They have missed the playoffs for the 7th straight season. Honestly, and I know we didn't talk about Anaheim a ton this year, I feel like this has been a year where they got a lot better. A lot better. Under the circumstances, too, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, Anaheim was ready to take this step this season, and they kind of did take the step, if I'm going to be completely honest. I know we all love to say Greg Cronin's a bad coach, but Greg Cronin did good work here.
Yeah, and that's the really unfortunate part. I mean, you look at last year. Last year they had 59 points. They only had 27 wins. They had 50 losses on the year. This year, they are only 2 games below 500. They have almost 20 more points than they did last year. That's a step in the right direction. A massive step in the right direction. Just with Craig Cronin, I have no clue. Like, if you wanted Cronin to be fired, this ain't gonna change that. So, I mean, that's bad news there for the Ducks, but I think overall, like, this has been a pretty good year from them, considering the facts. Honestly. Like, again, I think that they have the real pieces to put it together, and now they're going to get, like, a later round draft pick, probably around, like, 8th or 9th overall. Still, another really good player.
Yeah, I mean, Anaheim's in a good spot. Anaheim's in a very good spot. They got good young pieces coming up. They got a star in Ned and Dostal. Um, Jackson Lacombe like really broke out of his shell this year.
Insanely underrated too. Nobody's talking about that kid. That kid is phenomenal this year,
Like
and nobody's
we're looking
talking
at a
about
guy
him.
like Olin Zellweger to be the next Green Island defense in the Jet. Lacombe's like, no, step aside.
Lacombe might be better, to be honest. And they got guys coming up the pipeline tho, like Seneca, who
Yeah.
looks pretty damn
Did
good.
did they get Solberg?
Yeah, they got
Yeah, they
Solberg
did.
as well. How's Michukov been? That's somebody I haven't really followed. Anyways, yeah, Ducks have been just tremendous this year.
Ducks got guys in the
whole
pipeline coming up. The Ducks are in a very, very, very good spot. I could still see a world where Greg Cronin is fired.
I could too. I'm not saying that that's impossible. Just I think with this year, it makes it less likely than it would be under other
Because I want to
circumstances.
be very clear. You see it what happened in Seattle with Hackstall, where the players went, "Listen, you fire him, or I request a trade."
Yep.
I request
Yep.
a trade.
Pretty much. All right. Next up, then, moving into the Eastern Conference, there are 3 teams that have been bounced there that we need to talk about. First off, probably the most surprising, the Boston Bruins were knocked out, and they are dead last in the Atlantic. They are knocked out of the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Just a disastrous year for Boston. Disaster.
Start of the year was rocky. Then they got better, and then they kind of were. And then they got passed in the wild card race by Ottawa. That's when things really started to change.
Well, here's the thing that happened. The Bruins, more or less, they fired Montgomery. They brought in Sacco. There was that coaching boost, and that boost went on for about like 2-3 months, and then they started teetering off, but they still had some ground. And then the trade deadline came along. They were like maybe 2 or 3 points out, and Sweeney was like, "Yeah, I'm selling," and then it really fell off.
Mm-hmm. Like,
And now the Bruins are at this point dead last in the East.
yeah, I do want to say, like, Boston fans at the deadline were like, "Oh my, like, we're still in the race." Like, I hear that, like, it's so bad when your own fan base is like, I don't want to say spoiled enough, where it's like they're in the playoffs year after year after year, where they don't see how this is a good thing for the Bruins.
You're not making it, dude. You weren't gonna make it. Like that's saying that Philly was in the race. We still sold.
Mm-hmm. Like Philly was still firmly in the race, and they're like, "Nah, no, we're out."
We were like 4 or 5 points back. Like, oh yeah, that's possible, but no.
Pittsburgh at one point was 4 points back, and they sold.
Yeah, still like it's just uncharted territory for Boston fans because they've been so used to making the playoffs for so long, and it's gonna feel weird not having them in the playoffs this year because they've been in it for so long and so many years. But I think this might be the best. You see, Fraser Minnan got called up yesterday. I'm pretty sure. You see how, like again, they have been bad. They came off of like a 10-game winning streak. They have been brutal. So
Streak, even.
yeah, it was really needed, honestly.
Yeah, and off season, Boston's gonna have a lot of money to spend. Here's the thing: Boston either brings in somebody that they pay a big name, and it works out, or it crashes and burns, or they retool around smaller guys.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they really can't rebuild.
I can't rebuild. They just signed Swayman. Just signed Pasternak. There's no way.
Look, I got to be honest with you. I think there is a really real possibility the Bruins recuperate. They let their guys heal up. They give Swayman a full training camp, and they come back and make the playoffs.
I could see that. Like, I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but like I could see, like, we could talk about Boston in the playoffs next year. Like, that's not out of the question.
Here's the thing.
I do think though that they need a coach.
I agree. You need a coach. That's the number one thing.
And I'll be honest, and I don't see Torts there, but it'd be funny. It'd be funny.
Mike Babcock. Nah, I'm kidding.
That's worse. I don't know how you go
20 times worse.
I think Sweeney's gonna be fired though.
I low-key think the same. I think when the season's done, I think he might they might be like, yeah, you're done. I wouldn't be shocked at all.
It's either you can resign or we can fire you.
Here's my thing though with Boston in the playoffs. I think you give Swayman a full training camp, and I've talked to many Boston fans this year and said the same thing. I think you give Swayman a full training camp. I think the whole narrative with Boston this year changes. I think they still probably They might be in the playoffs right now. Like, I think Swayman was a big thing. And I think with a healthy McAvoy, healthy Lindholm, maybe you make another addition or two in the offseason, you bring up some youth.
Mm-hmm.
I know that might be hard for Boston to understand. Bring up the young guys instead of playing like Jeffrey Veal and like these other irrelevant players
I
that
like
we don't know.
Boston. Like if they see any youth and they're like allergic to playing them. I don't get what it is.
They throw them down to Providence, and Providence has had a good team for many years because of that.
Yeah, but
Who gives a shit about the minor clubs? You want to have a good NHL team. Bring up the youth.
yeah.
So like again, like I see the way Pastrnak's performing, and I see the way that this whole team's playing. I think they can make it next year, but a couple moves are needed, 100%. Next up, the Philadelphia Flyers have been knocked out from playoffs for the 5th straight year. It ties the longest drought in franchise history. I'll go to you first, LeBlanc. I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. Can we just not talk about it, please?
Are we talking about Philly?
Yeah.
I don't mean to be mean here, but did we expect anything different?
No. But I still don't want to talk about it.
Tort's gone. No more yelling next year.
I don't know, to be honest. Like, this team, we need lottery luck. We need lottery luck. First off, we need to get into the top 4. We need to get one of Hagens, Martone, Misa, or Schaefer. We need one of those. If we end up with Frondell, too, I'll be pretty happy, but we need some lottery luck. If we could get first overall, that'd be like a blessing. But we need lottery luck. That's the biggest thing with me. We need lottery luck. And if we don't get it, I think we might be set back for a couple more years. Again, I know we have all those draft picks. Not all those picks are going to turn into, insane players. So I hope we make a big splash in the offseason. We go out and make a trade or something. But I don't know. I feel like this team is still 2 to 3 years away. And I know, I can't talk about how painful it's been because you've not been in the playoffs for 8 years. The Red Wings, Trevor, girlfriend, they haven't been in it for almost 10 years. But, man, it just feels like this team is just going in a completely different direction.
I know what it feels to be. It feels like Philly's 2 years away from being 2 years away. That's how it feels.
No. At least for you, you were you at least had a sense of direction for many years. You had a sense of direction of where the team was going. For me, we're in a rebuild, but we're not good enough to be in a rebuild. Or we're not bad enough to be in a rebuild, is what I meant.
Yeah, so you're not good enough to contend, but you're not bad enough to get top 5 picks. Yes, I know how.
Or where Vancouver has been for 10 years. I don't understand. We need lottery luck. We need these picks to pan out. Otherwise, we're in deep crap. I just want to see playoffs again, man.
Yeah, and I feel that. I feel that for many years. I'm like, and I wish I could just go back, but this year's been better for us. But for you guys, I hope you guys get one of the top 2 picks.
We desperately need it, dude.
Could you imagine
if we can get one of Schaefer and Misa? It's huge.
Misa and Michkov?
Changes the whole narrative.
The
man.
M&M line?
Yeah, I feel like we would go a center though, but that's a whole nother discussion.
I think Misa does play center though.
Yeah, so you could do that. I agree.
I see Frondell in Philly. I could see even a Porter Martone in Philly.
I can see that too. I think Martone does kind of fall a little bit.
Could fall. I could see though, and this is a guy I think this would be a perfect Philly pick. Roger McQueen.
Yeah, that too. He has the name that would fit so well in Philadelphia. But I just cannot wait until June. I can't wait.
I can't wait. And that's where I was for so many years. Couldn't wait for the lottery, but you got to sit through it. I know people I don't tell to sit through it as Buffalo fans. I'm like you talk your shit. I'm not gonna speak.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, and then last but not least, before we wrap up this pod, the Pittsburgh Penguins have been eliminated from the playoffs for the 3rd straight season.
What a surprise!
What a time we live in. Yeah, not a surprise, but what a time we live in. Where Pittsburgh has not been in the playoffs for 3 seasons.
It's crazy to think they had that long. They had that 15-year streak, and we would talk mad shit, and now they ain't shit.
Oh, they haven't been shit for a long time.
At least the
I
past
mean,
2 years, they were close.
yeah, this year really was just a step.
Like 2 years ago, they literally had the upper hand to make the playoffs, and they lost back-to-back games to the Blackhawks. Unacceptable.
To be fair, I did think they made some pretty good moves,
They did,
at least recently.
and then
I think like, again, they're going to end up with the Rangers pick this year, most likely than not. I think
it's top 13 protected. So the Rangers decide though if they want to keep it or they want to give it to the Penguins.
Oh, okay.
So like if it's number 12, they decide whether they want to keep the pick or give it to Pittsburgh. But then their next year's pick is Pittsburgh's unprotected.
Yeah, I don't like that. I think Pittsburgh wants to have next year's pick because I don't rather really know about the Rangers.
The Rangers, like when we get to the Rangers, I got so much to say, but
I agree. Here's the thing, though. You look at the Penguins' draft capital. I know there's not a lot of like first round picks in there, but they do have a lot of picks.
They do.
And I think that could become useful, trying to get into the first round on that. So I think they are in a better spot, maybe than they were 12 months ago in terms of future. I think they got some young players like Rutger McGroarty, who's been in the AHL all year, most of the year, I should say. Has actually been pretty decent down there, 40 points in 60 games played, has 3 points in 6 games with a big club this year. You have guys like, Joel Blomqvist, who's come in, looks solid. Owen Pickering's actually played games this year. You're starting to build a core. You're starting to build a pretty good roster, but it's going to take a long time to get back to where you were. And it won't change with Crosby there.
Yeah,
there'll still be time.
Like I think I said, it wasn't going to happen, but you give Crosby away, things get better. Even the guys who were there, like Malkin and Letang, refuse to get traded. They don't want to leave.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, I don't blame them. I'm not going to say that they should.
I don't blame them either. You were there for so long.
Yeah, it's hard to move on, but again, you just look at the facts. Like it's there. Like I mean,
this is the beginning of the end for Pittsburgh.
Oh, it's been the beginning of the end for a while, but they might be in this position for a very, very long time.
We could see, honestly, I could see next year if they make some moves. Pittsburgh might be one of the worst teams in the NHL next year.
They might be, and then they'll get Gavin McKenna,
and then the cycle repeats.
Yeah, and then they'll win 3 of the next 10 Stanley Cups. And Philly still won't have one. By the way, one more thing with Philadelphia before we wrap up. 50 years since their last Stanley Cup now. 50 seasons.
You know what I find hilarious?
Toronto's going to be 60
I get this from Philly fans and Toronto fans. Because they think the old Ottawa Senators and the new Ottawa Senators are connected. When they're not.
They're not. I make jokes about it all the time, but they're not.
Ottawa hasn't won a cup in over almost 100 years. Like, they're not the same franchise.
They're not. It's still funny to make jokes about them.
The banners are up there to honor the old Senators, and that's the only reason they're there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a part of the old NHL, like 100 years ago, when they won their last cup.
So, like, Toronto's coming on 60, Philly's going on 50. Like...
60 years is insane.
Like that's
like a baseball drought. Yeah. That's like kind of wild. That's a baseball playoff drought, actually.
Like, I don't want to say Toronto's gonna get to the Cubs level of drought, but like, once you get if they go past 70, that's getting there.
How far? How long was the Cubs one? Wasn't it like 100 years?
107.
Jesus Christ! I hope we never hit that with Philadelphia. Oh my God.
Here's the thing. For Ottawa, at least for me, I would rather go my whole life without seeing them win a Stanley Cup than have them go for a long drought.
You'd rather go through your whole life without them seeing it win it?
So let's say Ottawa won the Cup in 2003 when I was like a little kid.
Okay.
I would rather go the rest of my life not be like I'd rather them not win that Cup and me go the rest of my life without seeing them win a Cup than having to deal with we have one and we have never won another one.
Really? Okay. Well, what if they won this year and then the rest of your life they never won again?
That's fine.
You still would have that.
I would have that one, and I would victory lap at any chance I got.
All the time. Just like Trevor, when he's like, 2000s cup check, buddy, we're like 6. Like you were literally.
I know.
You couldn't understand what a puck is at 6. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, I always say this. I've seen my team play in the Stanley Cup final. I've seen my team go to the Eastern Conference Finals multiple times. Being an Ottawa fan is tough, but we've had some pretty good success. When we're in the playoffs, we have pretty good success, right?
Must be nice.
Could be worse.
Must be nice.
Could be Buffalo.
That's true. You could not make the playoffs for like 15 years. By the way, by the time we make our next episode, they will be out. They keep winning, though, which, I mean,
they're screwing up their draft position.
I mean, I don't think Sabres fans care at this point.
They don't.
Like, they've had enough bad draft picks. But, all right, anyway.
But by next week, here's the thing. Next week, we might have the playoff picture.
Next week, we probably will. We'll probably see another MVP. We'll probably see 2 MVP episodes next week.
Yeah, and then next week when we come on here, I want to do a mock draft before we start our playoff coverage as well.
Yes, I agree with that.
Next episode, we got to get going on that.
Yes. All right. That being said, that is it for the episode of the MVP. We went on a little bit of a tangent there at the end. LeBlanc, any final thoughts?
Grade 8.
Grade 8. Congratulations to the grade 8. We'll be talking about that a lot. But anyways, that's it for us. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Ciao.
Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need no omen or sign. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it, my skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it, it's mine. I'm selfish. Yo, will tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. Hey, no yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do.